If you're watching this, you probably like cars, enjoy driving, and fancy yourself as possibly the next Lewis Hamilton. But if you're also like me, you're probably short on time and money and you can't afford a race team. If that's the case, you need to do what I did and buy yourself a sim rig. In this video, I want to get you as excited as I am about sim racing, show you around my sim rig, and show you what it can do. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. But first, let's do a history lesson. So, sim racing is called such because it is simulated racing. Obviously, it's a way for car enthusiasts to get their fix of driving in the virtual world. You may laugh at the way sim racing started because the games from yesteryear were quite basic, but over time it has exploded into an amazing movement that you see today. There is something for almost everyone. Sim racing is a great way for the average person to get their racing kicks in a virtual environment. Now, sim racing is a very broad term for a lot of different genres. So to make it easier, we'll break it down into 4 distinct categories: Simcade, arcade, realistic simulation, and online. So let's start with the arcade. The arcade games have their name because, as such, they're like arcade games, meaning that they're not that realistic. Example being in Forza Horizon, one of the arcade games, you can take a corner at breakneck speed without braking with no real consequences. You could smash your car up until it looks like nothing like a car, and you can still drive and probably win. Now that comes into line with games like Need for Speed, for example, that are just not that realistic, but don't get me wrong, they're really fun, but it's more akin to Mario Kart than anything else. Moving on, we got these Simcades, which are a halfway house between realistic simulations and arcade. The reason why I say this is because it's accessible for more people, and that is the arcade component of keeping it fun. And it's simulated because most of these games are based on track environments, and there is a little bit of a learning curve to actually make the most of your game. I'm talking about games like Gran Turismo 7, Forza Motorsports, and F1 2022. Now the next category is realistic simulators. Now they're named such obviously because they're more realistic and they're more of a simulation. So this means that you can't just jump into them and drive as you would the Simcades or the arcades. You actually have to take some time learning how to learn a setup, how to actually control the car properly, because if you go for a corner and you don't brake, you're going to find yourself in the shadow realm. Games in this realm are games like R-Factor, Race Room, iRacing. Now lastly, let's talk about the online experience. There's something about pitting yourself against other human beings around the globe that is so exciting. Now the massive downside to the online community is that you get a lot of people there who really do not respect the racing craft. And you're driving your car, doing your best, and all of a sudden you find yourself traveling towards the barriers through no fault of your own because someone called X99, something your mother, has punted you off into the shadow realm for no apparent reason, which makes you so mad you want to rip the steering wheel off and just throw it at the screen. Now that I've calmed down, what have I actually bought? So let's take this thing off because we're not actually racing at the moment. I've got a Fanatec CSL DD, which is a fantastic wheel from Fanatec. It's not exactly entry level, but it's entry level for a direct drive wheel. This wheelbase is not only smooth as hell, but super powerful. It means you get unbridled response times and it's not noisy at all. Now the pedals I've got are these CSL pedals with the load cell kit. And these are a cool set of pedals because the brake is quite stiff. What it means is that you're braking by force and not by pedal travel, which means that your braking can be more consistent and you can develop kind of muscle memory. Now the steering wheel and the pedals are mated to this lovely next level racing GT track rig, which is just a fantastic thing to be in. My favorite thing about this is that it's actually got proper racing harnesses, which, you know, is a little bit silly, but so is wearing a helmet. I don't really wear a helmet when I race, I'm just being silly. Fanatec is great because they have a number of wheels you can attach your base to. I've currently got the McLaren GT3 V2 wheel. It's a replica McLaren GT3 wheel, which is lovely to hold, it's great for doing the kind of open racing and GT3 stuff, and looks fantastic. So I connect all this to my PlayStation 5. The games that I currently play are Gran Turismo 7, love it, Assetto Corsa Competition, which I've just started, and F1 2022. To show this thing working in action, I'm going to play some Gran Turismo and complete one of these super license tests, and we're going to try and go for gold. We're going to be driving a Nissan GTR around a really fun track in the game, and let's see what you think of this rig, and let's try and convince you to get one yourself. Here we are then in the Nissan GTR, about to do a 1 lap time attack. We're trying to go for gold, so we got to drive really quickly, looking for the rumble strips as our braking point, braking deep into that area and then turning rather early. Oh, there's our ghost. And then coming out, putting full throttle, coming around the corner. And the great thing about these pedals even is that the brake gives you consistent braking each time, because it's not about brake travel, it's about brake feel, which means you can kind of do the same thing each time. The great thing about the steering wheel in this case is that you get excellent force feedback. So there's a quality of sensation when you're actually trying to go through the corners. Feeling for understeer, feeling for oversteer, being able to correct it is all part of the fun. Now on this game, this car is really fast, so you can actually rely on its grip quite a lot. So because you've got good feedback, you know exactly what's going on, and then you can push on from there. And clearly, as you can see, the rig itself is pretty stable. I like wearing the seatbelts. It's a bit of a joke. Obviously, you don't need to wear seatbelts on a sim rig because you're not going anywhere, but as they say, you can never be too safe. And it also just makes you feel a little bit like you're part of the action, even though it is quite silly. But as you can see, I'm not wearing a helmet here because I'm not an idiot. But anyway, back to the lap. We're going across there, and this is the last straight going all the way down to the start-finish line. And I'm hopeful that this will be a gold, because I think I've gone a good lap and I've gone quite quickly, but remains to be seen. And here we go. Hopefully, we won't be throwing the controller at the TV anytime soon. And we got the gold. Fantastic. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please like, leave a comment, and consider subscribing because it really helps. I'm looking forward to bringing you some new sim racing content and in real life stuff soon. Cheers.